I've got Oren Klaff. This is the Right Place live stream. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's a little bit late, but this is going to be so awesome. You're going to love it. I'm Dr. Letitia Wright, host of the Right Place TV show and America's crowdfunding strategist. And we are going to talk about pitching. We're here with Oren Klaff. He is the author of Pitch Anything. I've read the book. I have the audio book. Well, I didn't read, but I have the audio book. The audio book is awesome because he's telling all of the stories. So I really recommend the audio book. It's very entertaining. Some people
think about this though. You listened to the audio book and you liked it, right?
Yes.
But you listened to it once, 1.5 times, right?
I am thorough. I listened to it probably 8 times. Number one, I teach in Las Vegas and I drive. I do the 4-hour drive. And so my favorite audiobooks are loaded up so I can listen to them over and over and over again. And also I am perfectly audio, visual, and tactile learner. I'm like 33% in each of them. So for me, an audio is like, if I hear you say it, it's in there. So.
Well, imagine you've listened to it a few times, probably too many times, but that audiobook is in my head. I have to listen to it all day, every day. I wake up inside my own head listening to that damn book. But so I understand what you went through. Listening to it 8 times. Counseling. I'm here to give you counseling.
You're here to give you counseling. I just want to know why you were in the desert. Why you really went to the desert and like shut yourself off from everybody. Like, were you really going through stuff?
So if you think about it, anybody who lived through 2006, 2007, 2008, when the financial markets were somewhat spastic, chaotic, hectic, you had lots of people coming in, didn't know what they were doing. You had lots of people in there who knew what they were doing and making a lot of money. Everybody was dealing with more money than they ever had before. We were flying around, certainly in an Embraer Legacy 600. It's a $30 million airplane, taking daily trips, and it was an amazing time. But it also was around the clock, work all the time. And you know what that equals when you're working all the time, when you're only focused on money, when you're getting as much done as humanly possible and probably more, then you burn out and need some time to reset, decompress, and relax. And if you have enough money at that point, then you do it somewhere nice and safe and fun.
Okay, cool. All right, let's get down to pitching. So for you guys that want to know how to pitch to get money, this is not your elevator 30-second pitch. He is talking about pitching to get those deals, pitching for your business to really make things happen. And so I want to get down to some nitty gritty. And so I've really taken some time to ask the questions that I've always wanted to ask. First of all, what is wrong with the way that we're pitching right now when we come in and we say, hey, I've got this thing, it's really great, and we want you to buy it? What's wrong with how we're pitching right now?
Sure. So what I think about it, what comes to my mind, right, is when somebody who isn't trained how to do this correctly, it makes me think about like the Russian space station and the U.S. space station trying to dock, right? But they don't have the right like docking sequence. So these space stations up in space, they come near each other. 157, this is NASA 17, Russia Soyuz. This is Russia Soyuz. We are on approach 1945. And these space stations come together and they hit each other and they try and dock, and it's not the right mechanism. They bounce. What the hell just happened? Right? And they do it again. And so the sequence and the pattern of information that the buyer needs to be interested in what you have, to listen to you, to appreciate it, and want what it is you have is a totally different sequence of information than you think he needs. So this is a key that doesn't fit. It's space stations that can't dock with each other. It's a cat and dog trying to do business time. We'll move on from that visual very quickly. But it is it is things that don't know how to talk to each other. It is 2 Roombas moving around the room, randomly bouncing into each other and bouncing away and going in a different direction. The sequence of information that a buyer needs to hear from you is very different from what comes to your mind that you want to tell him. So that's what's wrong. It is the wrong set of information at the wrong time in the wrong order, and most importantly, with the wrong amount of detail. So even if you get all of these things right, then if you think about in a TV show or a movie that you really love, and one of the main characters gets knocked off, right? They have to choose how much detail to give, right, to make it work for the show. Sometimes it's a long, slow, painful death. Other times it's just a shot. You don't see much because the audience can't handle it. Like, how much detail about what it is you have at that moment is important as well. So the sequence of information, the pace that you go at, how much time you're spending on it, and how much detail. Those are the three variables. If you don't get that stuff right, nobody can listen to your pitch, understand it, appreciate it, and want what you have. That's what I think. And I've only done this like 50,000 times. So
for $2 billion.
Yes,
$2 billion worth of money. Okay. The other thing is pitch decks. Every time someone tells me they're going to show me their pitch deck, it turns out to be a freaking PowerPoint. Like, explain to everybody what you're talking about in a pitch deck.
Yeah, but you can't understand a pitch or a pitch deck or an elevator pitch or a full pitch or a sales call or a sales presentation or a meeting. Like, all these things are just words, and nobody has really defined what this stuff is. So you think about it. There's a process, right? So first of all, you have to tease somebody. So you need a teaser, right? And usually, how do we contact me? Usually by email. So you need a nice short email teaser that gets somebody to go, aha, here's something that I'm intrigued by and could potentially benefit me. And that's probably like 50 words, right? Every email I see is 150 to 500 words, right? And I can fix these easily just by deleting most of it. I'll tell you a funny story. I got hired to a company. They were working on a big deal, $30 million deal. They were pretty far along with a large investor, multi-billion-dollar company. You'd recognize their name immediately. Let's just call it like Hershey's. It's not Hershey's, but easily recognizable. Medical company. CEO writes an email explaining why they should invest. They're at the last stage of the negotiation. He goes, are there any edits you'd like to make on this email? I look at it and I go, holy God. Right? There's at least 750 words. So I hit Control A, select all, delete everything, and I type in in or out, ? 3 words, and I hit send. I was younger then, and I did crazy stuff. And the CEO's watching me do this. He goes, no, like diving for the computer trying to retrieve the email. He didn't have Google, retrieve email set, and it was gone, right? And so emails are way too long in the tease. In almost all emails are too long, but a short 50-word email. This is what we have. This is what we do. This is why I would interest you, and something that if you really had it, they would want it. That's just a teaser email. And then they reply and go, sounds interesting. Let's do a call. And that's where everybody messes up. Because somebody is willing to take a call with you or meet you at Starbucks. By the way, never go to Starbucks for a meeting.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about me going to Starbucks. Go ahead.
Well, I would go to Starbucks with a meeting with you because you're beautiful and vivacious and charismatic. But for most people, never go to a meeting in a Starbucks. But you get a phone call, right? The fact that somebody's willing to talk to you does not mean that they want to spend an hour hearing where you came from, why it happened, how your life is organized, what you're doing, what's going to happen next, your big plans to take over the world. They just want to know some basic information. So that first call, we all abuse it. And that discipline of that first call is just 6 minutes, 5 minutes. No way you listening to this podcast, wherever you are, because I know Warren Buffett is not listening to it because he's doing something different, probably dying. But, okay, you can edit that out.
Okay, yes.
All right.
I would like
Sorry.
One day. And
Warren Buffett is probably busy. He's jet skiing. But anyway, he's not listening to it. So anybody listening to this, really, I get a good sense of where your skill level is. There is no way on that first call you should be talking more than 8 minutes. I'm telling you right now, right? It is not. Yes, somebody will sort of be respectful and maybe they'll go half an hour before they start giving hints. Hey, I got something else coming up. And that first call has to be programmed. Why now? What is changing in the world? What problem do you solve? Why is that problem hard to solve? What is your solution? How does it work? What's your value proposition? Who's involved? Who are you? And what are you offering specifically? And what are next steps? You got to do that in about 6 minutes. Okay. The funny thing is that's the same agenda for the big meeting, right? But you can hit each topic longer, more completely. But if you can't do that, why now, what it is, what's changing, who else does this, what the problem is, specifically what the solution is, what it is, how it works, the value proposition, the team, ROI, pro forma, next steps, and maybe a use case or an example. If you can't do all that in 6 minutes, something's wrong. Because 6 minutes is a lot of talking. All right.
That's not.
What's 6 times 150? Somebody help me. 900,000, 1,000 words, right? I mean, if I said to you, write an essay about everything you do, why now, the problem, the solution, but you got to limit to 1,000 words, you go, no problem. But I tell you, you got to describe everything you have, what it is you do, problem, solution, proof of concept, momentum, traction, all that crowdfunding stuff. But you only have 6 minutes, you freak out. 6 minutes, 1,000 words. Just takes time. Prepare it. So we need to get an email that basically gets people to say, I'd be interested in talking to you. We need to have a short form pitch in 6 minutes, not 9 minutes, not 10 minutes. Then they're going to say what everybody knows they're going to say, right? Which is, hey, sounds interesting. Here's what you need to do next. Send me something.
Right.
Now you need to pitch that, right? And when somebody says send something, what is going through your mind that you would send them a 41-page PowerPoint with 500 words a page? What's 41 times 500? I can't even do math that high. That is insane, crazy, right? Over the top. Because somebody talked to you for 6 minutes and responded to an email, now you feel that they owe you to read 41 pages times 500 words, which is a big number. As my little boy would say, infinity is a really, really large number, but it's real. But it's really large. Can't explain it to you. So the pitch deck is in response to send me something. Its job is not to sell. Its job is to get the meeting where you can do a 30, 40-minute complete meeting pitch presentation and complete it. So now we're talking about a whole process. A teaser, a short form pitch, send me something, a short form pitch deck, logistics to get a meeting, and then a big pitch. If all you have is a big pitch, because I hear people say all the time, hey, just throw me in a room, coach. I know what I'm doing. No, you don't know what you're doing, and I'm not your coach. But I can't help you figure all this out. But again, going back to the Soyuz or the Russian space station and the U.S. space station, I mean, the way they approach each other, whether they have the sequence or not, is slowly, methodically, carefully, on a trajectory. These little adjustment jets, and they come in, they don't come in at 10,000 miles an hour and slam into each other and hope that right? So there's a methodical approach on how this all happens. I know I answered none of your questions.
No, that was great. No, okay. I was following. That was great. And this is recorded. So if you guys were not following, just play it back.
Yes, that is my one request. Never ask me to say all that again because I can't remember it.
That's we record.
I believe it was good.
I believe it was good too. Now, my favorite part of Pitch Anything was when you explained about framing.
Yes.
It was really, really important for me. As you can imagine, when I go into rooms, there's not a lot of people that look like me. And so that framing piece was really important for me. So let's talk about framing. And even you said, you needed to use framing when you had to go into places. So let's talk about that.
Let's talk about framing, right? So frame control, people get afraid of this word control, but the reality is you have a perspective. You have something you want to accomplish. You have a view of the world. You have a value system. You have a way that you operate, right? And that's all a package. And that whole package is your wonderful frame, right? And somebody else, unfortunately, has a view of the world and experiences and their own set of values and what they want to accomplish and what their budget is and what their time is. And that's a frame, a view, right? And these frames come together, right? And they collide because nobody comes together, except for, at 2 a.m. in the morning at a bar, right? There's like no frames. They're just like, oh, what's your name? Oh, I'm Bob. Okay, no frame control. Let's roll. But in the real world, everybody comes together and they want their frame to be the dominant, most powerful frame to make things nice and easy. So frames come together. Nobody wants to give you something nice. Nobody wants to give you their attention because they don't have enough attention to give everybody. So your frame has to become the most powerful, dominant, controlling frame. Now, don't take these words wrong. Dominant, controlling, powerful. We can revisit that. But somebody has to, in order for a deal to be done, in order for somebody in the audience to listen to you and appreciate you, they have to come to your point of view. Your point of view is, I'm speaking here. I have valuable information. I do this better than anyone else. I've committed 30 minutes to spend time with you, and I'm going to give you something valuable at a cost to myself. That's your frame. They have to come to that same belief. Otherwise, they're going to be on their phone. They're going to be, reading a book or leave. So they have to. Your frame has to take over. They have to believe in your. So in a deal, when people come together, two frames cannot coexist at the same time. We can't look at a deal through my lens and your lens, because they're different, and do a transaction. Okay. So, but you got to bring somebody over to your frame, your way of doing and seeing things. That's frames. I give you an example, right? So we have these different kind of frames, and we name the prize frame, right? The prize frame is who's the prize in a meeting. Okay, and so typically a buyer or an investor will think, hey, I'm the investor. You have to win. My money is the prize, right? We talked about in the book. My money is the prize that you, the company, are trying to win. That's a frame. And almost every company falls into that frame and goes, yeah, right? I'm the lowly company. We need money. You have the prize of money that we're trying to get. All right. And so that's you see how you fall into somebody else's frame, they control you because they're holding back the money until you do tasks. That's a terrible frame. So the investor goes, why don't you go get me a market size report? Just run away, get a market size report. Here you go. Oh, that's a good market size report, right? But they still have frame control over you. That's really good. Now I want to see a competitor report, more detailed than the one you gave. Okay, fetch me another rock. You go get another, right? But they have frame control, and they go, that's good. Now we want to see, a updated set of financials. Great, fetch me another rock. It just becomes, oh, there's a nice blue rock. There's a nice orange rock. There's a nice red rock. Now get me a green rock. What other rock would you like? Right? So that's exhausting. I'm not playing fetch me another rock. I'm the prize. That's a switch of the frame. The investor has to earn my attention. He has to earn access into my deal. He needs to be given permission to give me money. He needs to understand that the deal and the entrepreneur and the company is more valuable than the money. So we reframe the money as a commodity, something that's available anywhere. And you, the investor, better behave and act within our value system, or we will blow out the door and go somewhere else. Because why? We're a growing company that's busy, money's available anywhere, and we're willing to give you the opportunity to, your money can't do anything without going into a company. Just sit there in a checking or, money market account or in a CD or in risky equities, So money has to get itself invested. And so you have to allow an investor to come in here. So that's frame control, and that's the prize frame.
Very good. Let's jump from there to the whole neediness thing, because I was going to ask you a neediness question. A lot of the crowdfunders, the way they put out the
Sure, we need your help. Yeah, I hate it. We need your help to launch our crazy project.
Make it happen for us.
Make it happen for us, right? So when I take the train to and from Los Angeles pretty frequently, right? It's Amtrak. Let me tell you how Amtrak works. The train from Los Angeles to Orange County leaves at the 772 Surfliner, leaves at 11:18. Okay? The train doesn't ask me, if I come at 11:19, it's gone, right? It doesn't wait for me. The train doesn't, even if there's nobody on it, it leaves. It doesn't ask me, if for money, it just leaves. So trains leave the station and they don't need you, right? When you say to someone, I need you, you completely transfer all control, power to them. And what they will do immediately is dig in their heels. This moment somebody believes that they need you, and this I have not done before, and this is not in the book. What happens is you put them in the power position. Yes, you make them the prize. You tell them you're needy, but what that really does is you put them in a powerful position. When people are in a powerful position compared to other people, they do a couple things. They take risky behaviors that they would not normally do with a peer. They only see you in a very cursory, surface level way, and they focus on their own needs over yours. That is why the moment that you say, I need you, you give all the power and control. You put the other person in a power position, and they will now exhibit risk-taking behaviors, which will be to push you around. All right? That is the way power works. And so neediness triggers someone to dig in their heels, slow down, and they will tell you, oh, that's good. I now have an option. And they'll go look for other alternatives that are cheaper or free or for no reason. Until there's a sense that you're going to disappear, go away, and not work with them, they will not be triggered to make an active decision. All right. So, it goes all the way back to, early man. Neediness worked like this. If you, in those days, there was no surplus. Like today, you walk into average Home Depot and there's, 1,000 axes in any Home Depot and you have 3 Home Depots within 5 miles of anywhere, right? So there's surplus of axes, but you go back 50,000 years ago and there's like 2 axes on the whole planet, right? So if you had an axe and somebody said, I need your axe, right? It created huge fear because there was no surplus. There's no way for you to get another one. You needed that to survive. And you were afraid of anybody that was needy. Neediness generates immediate fear in the root, DNA, in the response system, in the brain of another person. They don't think about it. They just feel afraid. They feel in control. Neediness is the worst thing possible. So what are the alternatives to neediness? That's a good question. You tell me. I'm quizzing you.
Not neediness.
Exactly. Talk to the hand.
Talk to the hand. Got you. A lot of people really try to wing it. They really feel that they're very good with improv. They want to just kind of go in there. They want to feel, I don't know what this means, but they tell me they want to feel out the audience to do their presentation. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I think about this a couple different ways. I mean, when we go in to give a presentation that's 20 minutes long, I don't think about the topics that I have to cover. I don't think about the couple of slides. I don't think about what I have to do every few minutes. Would literally think every 30 seconds, what do we have to accomplish and move forward? And so winging it is, the issue is your natural instincts aren't good enough to construct a persuasive story, right? And so when you're winging it, you're relying on your instincts. And I know naturals who are very good, right? But without a story or pitch architecture that you're following, you cannot keep track of time well enough to put the whole story in the amount of time that the buyer will pay attention to you. When you blow past attention, you're toast. All right. How long should you be, how long should your presentation be? As long as you could be compelling and hold people's attention. So a tightly scripted story will hold somebody's attention. When it gets boring, they're gone. And if you're winging it, there are times you're just not good enough to make it up. There are times when you'll get boring, lose somebody's attention, hard to get it back, and you don't get all your message through. Let me see. if we do it like this. So you know the secret of good comedy. Go ahead, ask me.
What's the secret of good
timing? But time passes very differently for presenters and audiences. When I go up on stage and speak, and I'm sure you feel the same way, 45 minutes can go by, and I'm like, I just started, right? Let me go full Tony Robbins and keep going for another 4 hours. Give me another T-shirt. I'm ready, and a trapeze and some fire, and I'm just getting warmed up. So in 45 minutes, literally, I feel like I'm just getting warmed up. Now I'm ready to bring the thunder. And the audience is going, it is lunchtime, fool. Get me out of here, right? And you're holding up signs, 8 minutes, 15 minutes, 7 minutes. You're like, forget those signs, dummy. I have a lot more. So time passes very differently. And I'll answer your question fully, about winging it. Time passes very differently for presenters and the audience. And so that is the problem when you wing it. You are warming up in the first 15, 18 minutes. And that's the time your whole presentation should be completely covered, everything, and done. So when guys who wing it are warming up for the first 18 minutes, and pros who are prepared are done after 18 minutes. And that's, to me, the difference.
Got it. Hey, if you guys are just joining me, we're here with Oren Klaff. He's the author of Pitch Anything. He is an investment banker who teaches us how to pitch our deals so we can get the funding and the investors that we need. Please share this out with your friends who are out there, all the crowdfunders who want to get money, make money, and do what we have to do, because it's all about the deals. It's all about the money that comes in, and it makes all the difference in the world. We've had some really awesome nuggets.
So let's talk about crowdfunding for a second, right? So in a lot of deals, when you're a salesperson, what can I sell you? I'll sell you this.
Okay.
Right? So this pen is like $160, fountain pen, carbon fiber, titanium, orange, whatever, very cool. But I have I don't have a million of these, but I can get more from, we make them in Germany. I have a warehouse full of them. Like, there's no real scarcity. Right. So I'll have to say, doctor, I'd love you to have this pen. It's an excellent model. You'll really enjoy writing with it. The fluidity, you'll write cursive, you write better notes. You write better notes. People will like you more. They like you more. They give you more money. You retire sooner. You go to Malibu. Your kids will be happier, come visit you. They'll get better jobs. And you'll have a summer vacation home in Hawaii. You'll live in Malibu. And then your sex life will be, because of this pen, outrageous for years to come. Benefits and everything, right? But you go, okay, hey, that sounds really interesting. And I go, well, I'm going to say, I only have 5,000 left. Would you like this one? And you go, I think about it. But with crowdfunding, you have a naturally built-in scarcity, which is our campaign ends on May 5th. We have a very short time to learn about each other. We make the best whatever crowdfunding thing, or we have the best crowdfunding deal, right? But we only have a limited amount of time to do some very important things, right? First, you have to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it and why this is so hard, right? We'll tell you why nobody else does this, because it's so hard to do. There's only 15 engineers in the world like me who can do this thing, right? And 14 of them work at Microsoft, and they aren't leaving because they make $1 million a year. So there's one of me that knows how to do this, and it's much harder than it looks. Even if you gave the other 14 the opportunity to do this, they say, are you crazy? We tried that 7 times. It's impossible. So this is much harder. I put 1 million hours of my own time, 50 million lines of code, and my own money to get it here, right? So this is much harder than it looks. And here's a problem it solves. The problem, this is the problem. And so you can see why so many people are interested in this, why crowdfunding campaign is so busy, and why we've decided that May 5th is our cutoff date, because that's the point where we feel comfortable that we have enough people ready to go. So this is what we need to accomplish today, right? Is you have to understand it, you have to appreciate it, In the next few days, you need to learn a little bit about it, why our plans are normal for this kind of project. Every kind of company that has released this kind of project or done this kind of real estate or done this kind of product release basically achieves it in 90 days. And that's the time we've gave ourselves. So we'd ask that in the next 4 days, you learn about it, you learn a little bit about us, and decide to invest before we move on and start working with, we close the crowdfunding and start working with more institutional kinds of finance. This is the window. This is your chance. I'm going away. Train is leaving the station. It is not waiting for you. We have a short window to work together. I'm the best in the world at this. It's an opportunity for you to come and I'm willing to find a way to let you in during this time. So that's 17 different ways to say the same thing, but that's the frame, is during a short window of time, I'm letting you invest and have an opportunity to work with the best person in the world who knows this stuff. And after that, I'm going to work with institutions and you're not going to be able to get in. And that's the real deal.
That's awesome. That is awesome. That is exactly what crowdfunders needed to hear. And
not we really need your help to launch the project. That's like Amtrak going, we really need your ticket for the train to be able to leave, right? They don't say that. They say if you're not on it at 11:18, it's going to Orange County without you.
And that's all there is. It's either going with or without you.
And so, and I'll follow up, like, people are afraid to, generally are afraid to say that because they feel it's risky and it's threatening, right? And it's aggressive, it's pushing. The reality is, when you set those time constraints and when you situate it this way, if they don't come in, they never were going to. You are not going to scare somebody away. The reason it feels is because people blow up and they go, oh, if you're going to talk to me like that, or that's super aggressive, or I don't like to get pushed around, right? I understand. You didn't say, hey, you need to decide by the end of the day, right? We said you have to decide by May 5th. That is beyond reasonable. If you give somebody a reasonable timeline and they have a meltdown, I have a 4-year-old, believe me, I know what a meltdown is. And they have a meltdown, that is them trying to blame you for being aggressive when they really didn't have the money, they didn't have the intent, they didn't have the ability, they didn't have the qualifications, and they were just looking. It's the reasonable time frame that is your control point. If somebody has a meltdown over a reasonable time frame, it's their problem, not yours. And you're not being pushy. You're working the way every corporation, every real estate transaction, every stock offering, every real deal does, reasonably, credibly, willfully, with intention, okay, with a reasonable timeline. And so people are afraid that they're pushing people too hard because they see these meltdowns and they go, oh, I pushed them too hard. But if you know what you're doing, a reasonable timeline is fair, and you just move on it. And it will push in more people than it scares away. Absolutely. You know this from your own, crowdfunding experiences. Absolutely. Am I on track?
Yes, you are. That's amazing. Yes, you are. I'm glad, though, because it takes an expert from outside to, reinforce what I say and come in with their scientific and, their exact way of saying things. So thank you so much. So this is one of my last questions, and I guess this is my personal question. So when are we going to see you on Billions? I want to see a cameo of you.
Oh, man. Yes. When is Billions going to be about me? Pretty soon. So we're working with the script writers. We're just trying to change some of the names, but absolutely, yeah, that is soon. I'm working on that. But if they don't hurry up, decide to work with you and I,
yeah,
we're going to launch our own show called Trillions.
Okay.
And that's going to smoke. That's going to smoke Billions. They're going to, so you and I are going to be working on Trillions.
Okay.
Right away.
I'm down with that. I'm down with that. Thank you so much for joining me. Oh, yes. Let's talk about really quickly. You are working on the new book, The User's Guide to Power. I know that you're still working on it, but can you give us a little bit of a sneak peek of what's coming up with The User's Guide to Power?
But soft, what light through yonder window breaks, 'tis at the dawn.
That might be plagiarism, man. I don't know.
You know what? I came up with it. I'm like, it sounds familiar. Where else have I heard this? But then I just wrote it down. I submitted. The publisher loved it, and we're going to print.
Oh, okay.
So I think, how people wield influence and understand how power works. There's a lot of confusion about what power is, how to get it, how to use it when you have it, and when you lose it, how to get it back. And I would sort of say this is, in today's world, people think power is something you have, right? But really, it can't be stored up. You have to use it, right? So when you get power in a deal, you can't just hoard it and control it. You have to use it. So how do you use power to influence people in a way that they still like you, they will follow you, they believe in you? Power is not how you order people. See, power used to be about armies, right? Hey, do what I say, I send my army over there to get the stuff I want, right? My army is big and strong and it will burn you to the ground, so give me your 19 cows, whatever, right? It doesn't work like that. You're never going to be a general in an army or have a tank or use any kind of physical power ever, right? I don't own a gun. I don't own I have a 4-year-old. Every baseball bat we have is made of plastic. So I have no power. I could just use ideas, right? And so you can't store power and you can't use physical force. So when you get power momentarily, what should you do with it to maximize it, to have people influenced by you, follow you, believe in you, and want to work with you? And so that's the user's guide to power.
Okay, I'm really looking forward to that and having you come back and talk about that and how we can work with that, because that's something crowdfunders can use too.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. We will see you next time.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining and sharing. This has been Dr. Wright. Remember, ignoring one's conscience is neither safe nor right. And I'll see you next time.
See you next time. Thanks, Dr. Wright.